President Donald Trump was en route to a Veterans Affairs town hall in Norfolk, Virginia, when an unexpected thunderstorm grounded his helicopter. With visibility near zero and lightning cracking overhead, the team diverted to a nearby diner to wait out. The place was small and unassuming, an old brick building with a flickering neon sign that read Martha's Table. Inside, it smelled of coffee and buttered toast. Secret Service quietly secured the perimeter, but Trump surprised everyone by waving off the usual private booth and sitting at the counter instead. Something about the diner felt different. Humble, grounded, real. A middle-aged waitress with graying hair tied back poured him black coffee. "Storm's nasty out there," she said in a warm southern drawl, clearly unimpressed by his presence. Trump smiled faintly. Guess nature doesn't care about power. That's when he noticed a man in the corner, older, still, wearing a worn Navy cap. He stared out the rain-speckled window, as if watching something far beyond the storm. There was a weight to him, an absence of noise that felt deliberate, earned. "Who's that?" Trump asked quietly. The waitress glanced over. "That's Harold. Comes in every Tuesday. Orders the same thing, coffee, toast, scrambled eggs. Navy, I think. Keeps to himself." Trump nodded. He'd met countless veterans, but something about this man stirred him. Curiosity, respect, maybe something deeper. Trump stood and approached slowly. "Mind if I sit?" The man didn't look up at first. Then he turned, studying Trump not as a president, but as a man. "Free country," he muttered, gesturing to the chair. "Trump Saturday, you Navy?" "A long time ago." Trump extended his hand. "Thank you for your service." The man didn't take it. Didn't do it for gratitude. Never did. It wasn't rude, just firm. The kind of conviction that comes from lived truth. Trump, accustomed to applause, leaned in instead of pulling away. "What did you do in the Navy?" Harold sipped his coffee. "Things that don't make history books. Things no one should have to do." The silence that followed was heavy. "I visit a lot of VA hospitals," Trump said carefully. "You ever go?" "No." "Why not?" "Because medals and parades don't fix what's broken inside," Harold replied. "And because the real heroes never come home." Trump felt something shift. The waitress returned and leaned in, whispering, "That's Harold Griffin. Saved an entire aircraft carrier once. Navy never really gave him credit." Trump turned back. "What happened?" Harold stared out the window. 1991, Arabian Sea, USS Hathaway. I was chief systems operator. One night, I picked up a radar signal. Fast, low, wrong. They said it was a glitch. I knew better. What was it? An anti-ship missile. Undeclared conflict. 30 seconds to impact. Trump leaned forward. And I rerouted our defensive system without clearance. Intercepted it. You saved the ship. Saved 2,000 lives, Harold said quietly. And disobeyed a direct order. Trump exhaled. You were punished. Demoted. Shore duty. Incident buried. Too politically inconvenient. Why didn't you fight it? Harold met his eyes. Because it wasn't about me. Doing the right thing doesn't always come with applause. Sometimes the cost is silence. Trump sat back, stunned. Later that night, in the motorcade, Trump said nothing. Back at the hotel, his aide returned with a thin file. Too thin. "It's like he barely existed," she said. "No commendations. No incident reports." "They erased him," Trump whispered. 3 days later, Trump returned to the diner alone. Harold wasn't there. 2 days after that, a call came. "He's back," the waitress said. Trump arrived quickly. No tie, no entourage. "You didn't tell me everything," Trump said, sliding into the booth. "Didn't think you'd care." "I do," Trump said softly, "because your story matters." He slid a folder across the table. "They tried to erase you, but I won't." Harold stared at it. "I never wanted glory." "I know," Trump said, "but peace shouldn't mean forgetting sacrifice." For the first time, Harold smiled just a little. In that quiet diner, far from Washington, a forgotten hero was finally seen. And for once, The president listened, not as a leader, but as a man. Harold leaned back slightly. "What's that?" "That the quietest men carry the heaviest truths." Harold smirked. "You're not bad with words when you're not shouting them." They both chuckled. It was the first light moment between them. Trump tapped the table once, thoughtful. "Here's my promise. I'll speak with the Secretary of the Navy. We'll open the files. Push for declassification. Your story will be told accurately, quietly, if that's what you want, but it won't stay buried." Harold's face tightened. "Just don't turn it into a circus." "I won't," Trump said. Harold nodded. "Then let the truth out. Not for me, but for the men who didn't come home." A week later, Trump drafted a letter by hand, something he rarely did. He addressed it to the families of the USS Hathaway crew. To the loved ones of those aboard the USS Hathaway in 1991, there's a story you were never told. A story of one man who made a decision that saved your fathers, brothers, and sons at great personal cost. His name is Harold Griffin, and it is time his truth is known. President Donald Trump was en route to a Veterans Affairs, but as a man humbled by another, Virginia, the communications unexpected thunderstorm grounded his helicopter. Trump with visibility near zero. "We're not doing this for cracking overhead," he said. The team diverted to a nearby diner to wait out. Instead, the letters were small and unassuming. One by one. An old brick building with a flickering neon Navy sign forum posted that read Martha's table. Griffin's inside is back. It smelled of coffee. Families began calling the VA. Secret Service quietly secured the finally understood the fear, but Trump surprised everyone by waving off the usual private one woman and sitting at the counter instead, whose brother had served aboard something about the diner felt different. Traveled from Maine to Virginia, grounded. She found Harold. A middle-aged waitress with graying hair tied back. "You saved my brother," poured him black coffee, she said through tears. "Storm's nasty out there. He never told us what really happened," she said in a warm Southern Only that drawl. Someone made a decision, clearly unimpressed by his presence. Everything. Trump smiled. Harold nodded. "Guess he was a good man. Doesn't care about power." She handed him a small locket. That's when he noticed a man wore this in the corner. Said if anything ever happened, wearing a worn man who saved him. He stared out the rain-speckled window around it, as if watching something far beyond the first time in years. There was a weight to him. The weight he carried felt absence lighter. Of noise that felt one early morning. Trump returned to the diner alone. Trump asked quietly, he said. The waitress glanced at the booth. "That's Harold. Crew comes in every Tuesday. Your name's becoming a symbol. Orders the same thing, chuckled coffee, softly. Toast, took them scrambled 30 years. Navy, they needed a voice to believe in himself. Trump replied. Trump nodded. Sometimes the world just needs a nudge. But something about this man didn't have to do this. Curiosity, respect. I did. Maybe something deeper. Because I spent years praising service. Mind if I feel it? The man didn't look up at him first. Then maybe I didn't just save that ship. Studying Trump not as a president, but as a man. Trump organized a private country at a naval memorial, gesturing to the chair. No press. Trump Saturday, no cameras. Navy, just survivors and families of the Hathaway. Trump extended his hesitated. I don't do ceremonies. The man this one isn't for show. Didn't do it for gratitude. It's for healing. Never did. When Harold it wasn't rude. The room fell silent. The kind of one by one men comes from lived truth. They didn't cheer. Trump, they clapped, accustomed to applause. Softly, leaned in instead of pulling away. Harold didn't hide. What did you do? He simply nodded. Harold sipped his coffee. Later, things that don't make history briefly. I'm not no one should have to do. I'm here as someone who met a man who changed my understanding. I visit a lot of VA hospitals. He turned to Harold. Trump said carefully, "You taught me that real power is restraint. No, not noise. Why not? Because medals and grades don't fix the man who never came home." Harold replied. And the truth, no matter how long it takes, real heroes never come home. Every glass Trump felt something shift. Trump later requested something different from the Navy, whispering, "No standard." That's Harold Griffin. Saved something that represents integrity, humility, and Navy sacrifice. Never really gave him credit. They called it the Griffin Trump Star. Turned back. Harold refused. What happened? First. Harold stared out the window. I know. 1991. That's why you deserve it. USS ceremony was private. I was chief systems operator. No cameras. I picked up a radar many signal. Awards. Trump said, low wrong. Placing it in Harold's hands. They said it was a glitch. This one means I knew better. Harold slipped it into his jacket. Anti-ship That's missile. Enough. Undeclared conflict. The 30 seconds to impact. Just enough. Trump Harold declined forward. Interviews and books. I rerouted our defensive system. I didn't do it for fame. Without clearance. He said. I did it because I couldn't live with myself. Saved the ship if I didn't. Saved 2,000 names spread. Harold said quietly. Cadets began asking about Harold Griffin. Order. Letters Trump arrived. Exhaled. Harold kept them all in a wooden box. Demoted. One read. Shore duty. Men like you make me believe my father didn't die politically inconvenient. They care. Why didn't you fight it? Trump. Harold always did. Because
Trump
it
replied.
wasn't about me.
They just needed
Doing the
permission
right
to
thing
remember.
doesn't always come
Months
with
later,
applause.
Trump
Sometimes the
returned
cause
to
is
Martha's
silence.
table.
Trump sat
wasn't
back,
there.
stunned.
He passed
Later that
peacefully
night,
last week
in the motorcade,
the waitress said.
Trump said nothing.
He left something for
back
you.
at the hotel.
Inside
His
the
aide
envelope
returned
was a
with
note.
thin file
To the man who listened.
Too thin.
Thank
It's like
you
he
for
barely
remembering
existed,
forgotten,
she said.
HG.
No commendations.
Trump folded it and sat
no
in silence.
incident reports.
A year later,
They erased
the
it.
Griffin Leadership
Trump
Center
whispered.
opened.
3
Trump
days
spoke
later,
briefly.
Trump
I
returned
met a
to the
man who
diner
reminded
alone.
me that real
Harold
greatness
doesn't
doesn't
shout.
2 days
It
after
whispers.
that, a call came.
Behind him
He's
hung a
back,
portrait of Harold
the
in his
waitress
diner
said.
booth.
Trump
Coffee
arrived
in
quickly.
hand.
No tie.
That night, no entourage.
Trump told his
He didn't
grandson
tell
the
me
story.
everything.
Did he win a medal?
Trump said,
the boy asked.
sliding into the booth.
He didn't need one.
Didn't think you'd care.
Trump replied.
I
His
do.
honor was in how
Trump
he
said
lived.
softly.
Because
The boy
your
nodded.
story matters.
I want to be like him.
He slid a folder
Then be
across
honest.
the table.
Be
They
brave.
tried to erase
And
you.
remember,
But I won't.
real heroes don't need to be
Harold
seen.
stared at it.
They
I
need
never
to be
wanted
understood.
glory. A
I
plaque
know,
now
Trump
hangs on
said,
the wall of Martha's
but
table.
peace shouldn't mean
Harold
forgetting
Griffin,
sacrifice.
A quiet sailor
For the first
who saved
time,
lives
Harold
and
smiled,
asked for nothing.
just a little.
Years later,
In that quiet diner,
Trump returned once
far
more.
from Washington.
He placed a hand
A
on the
forgotten
plaque
hero
and
was
whispered,
finally seen.
You changed
And for
me.
once,
And in
the
that
president
small
listened,
diner,
with
not
a
as a
hum of coffee
leader, but
pots
as a
and the smell
man,
of toast,
Harold
the
leaned
legacy
back
lived
slightly.
on, not
What's
in
that?
noise, but in truth.
That the quietest men carry the heaviest truths. Harold smirked. You're not bad with words when you're not shouting them. They both chuckled. It was the first light moment between them. Trump tapped the table once, thoughtful. Here's my promise. I'll speak with the Secretary of the Navy. We'll open the files. Push for declassification. Your story will be told accurately, quietly, if that's what you want, but it won't stay buried. Harold's face tightened. Just don't turn it into a circus. I won't, Trump said. Harold nodded. Then let the truth out. Not for me, but for the men who didn't come home. A week later, Trump drafted a letter by hand, something he rarely did. He addressed it to the families of the USS Hathaway crew. To the loved ones of those aboard the USS Hathaway in 1991, there's a story you were never told. A story of one man who made a decision that saved your fathers, brothers, and sons at great personal cost. His name is Harold Griffin, and it is time his truth is known.